All right, good morning, traders. Today is December 17th, 2025. My name, Coach Carignan. All right, I am the lead instructor here at the BYOB Trading Room. That's the day trading service for the hit and run candlesticks family. Thank you, everybody out there in podcast land, digital land, cyber land. Thank you for subscribing to my content, following my content, liking my content, heart giving me the hearts on the X platform for my content. Special shout out for John Jordan, Bob Jordan, Kathy, Sarah, Roasted, all for sharing the content, helping get the good word, spread the good word. Appreciate that. Love that a lot. Thank you so much for sharing my content. All right, let's drill down here. I got a few announcements to make. Before I get started, start with the first one, holiday hours. Okay, so from Christmas Eve until Monday really, but the we're not going to have any moderators in the trading room. Okay, so I think the trading rooms will probably be open, but there just won't be anybody projecting. Okay, or leading. Okay, so the rooms will be open, but nobody's going to be here except for you traders. And of course, we always encourage you to collaborate. Same thing on New Year's Eve, all the way to the 2nd of the new year. Says the rooms are closed. They'll probably be open, but there won't be any moderators in there. We will return on Monday on both holiday weeks there, right there. So that's for the holiday hours. Okay, got tomorrow, that's Thursday, the 18th. All right, we got members e-learning. That's the benefits of being a member. If you're out there in podcast land, digital land, okay, you get to listen to all our topics. So Doug's going to give an hour presentation, or about an hour presentation. I'm going to give one, and then Rick's going to give one. Doug starts at noon. I start at 1. Rick starts at 2, and probably lasts till about 3 o'clock. The topic is understanding market psychology. So we'll see you all in the combo room if you do not see me here in the BYOB Trading Room, because I am listening to all the presentations as well as conducting my own over there in the combo room. If you want to know how to get to the combo room, okay, you come up here, you go to hitandruncandlesticks.com. All right, and you go to your BYOB member page right there. All right, come on over here. You see the combo room? You simply click that. It'll open up a new page on your browser, and you put in your credentials to log into the combo room. So it's very easy to get to. If you want to look for the videos, where the videos are kept, come up here to resources. Okay, and then we've got e-learning replays right here. This is the last one, fundamentals of risk management. Okay, so you got one from me, one from Rick, probably one from Doug. Maybe he was out. Maybe one from Ed. Anyways, there's 10 videos, about an hour long, right here, just on this page. And I just want to show you how many pages we got. 33 pages of 1 hour, probably close to 1 hour or more videos. All right, so that's that's 33 times 10. That's 330 videos. It's a lot of content, all right, to catch up on if you're a new member, all right. Tons of learning content we provide for our members, all right. So that's how to get to it. And we even have more under the public replay or public webinars right here. You can see again, 10 more videos for each page. And again, we have 20 pages there. So that's another 200 videos, okay? So over just hours and hours and hours of educational content right there. All right, so take a peek at those. Again, you can log in to the hitandruncandlesticks.com platform right here, and then you go over to resources. Again, e-learning replay, public webinar replay right there. So I'll move this down. So that happens tomorrow. That starts at noon. Okay, so we'll see you there at noon. All right. My SPY pivot this morning, 678.60. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. IWM made a lower high and a lower low, closing below a bearish cross, but under the 17 but over the 17 EMA. Diamond down made a lower low. Hey, let me just say, they all made lower lows and lower highs, okay? So Diamond down made a lower low and a lower high, closed inside a bullish trap over the 17. FNGU, SPY, QQQ made lower highs and lower lows, closing under bearish traps and under their 17 EMAs. SPY closed with a 2-hour downtrend and a 10-minute uptrend. I'll be looking for a continuation to that 10-minute uptrend this morning. Gold made an equal high and a higher low, closing over a bullish trap over the 17. Silver made an inside day. That's a higher low and a lower high, closing over a bullish trap over the 17 EMA. USO in a daily downtrend made a lower low and a lower high, closing under a bearish trap under the 17. Harsh pullback in UNG. UNG in a daily downtrend made a lower high and a lower low, closing under a bearish trap and under the 17, almost down there where the all-time low is. Okay, so if you're a bottom picker, UNG is down there. All right, like multi-year lows down there. U.S. dollar index still in a downtrend. We love that. Closed near the 98.21 area. SPY max pain is 679 with a put to call ratio of about 1 put for each call that expires today at 4:15. The main economic event this week is going to be the CPI, and that was released. That will be released on Thursday, the 18th. That's tomorrow at 8:30 in the morning before the market opens. You might want to be hedged for that release or flat, okay? If this is your first time seeing this video or one of my videos, okay, you got all of these under the bulls column right over here, okay? These are all in daily uptrends over the 17 EMA. Over here, these are all in daily downtrends under the 17 EMA, okay? If they got a little star next to it, it means they're building out a bull flag, or I call it a launch pad from which to launch higher, okay? It's not guaranteed to launch higher. I'm just saying they're building one, all right? On the bear side, if you see a little star next to it, they're building out a bear flag, or I call it a platform from which to dip lower or dive lower, okay? So a diving platform, okay? So there it is. Over the 17 uptrends, under the 17 downtrends. All right, let's take a look at the markets this morning. What do I want to see here? I want that one. And we're on the 10-minute chart. And what is that doing on there? That's not supposed to be there. Okay, so into the close. Okay, you can see the candlesticks and the 3 EMA, okay, which is the yellow. All right, the yellow line right there, 3 EMA, candlesticks riding on the 3, 3 in the candlesticks riding over the 8. That's the white line, okay, right here, white line, thin white line right there. All right, so you can see they were traveling north, okay, or up. All right, so it's an uptrend. You can see the 3 is still up over the 8 just at closing time, okay? So 10-minute uptrend coming into the close yesterday over, you can see a rising 17 EMA, and we're up over VWAP, and you can see VWAP start to hook. All right, so there's 10-minute uptrend on the SPY. I will be looking for continuation of the 10-minute uptrend, okay, into the open this morning, okay? I will be looking for, I don't want any of these doji candles, okay? I don't want any spinning tops, okay? So I don't want spinning tops and dojis because a lot of times that means bulls and bears agree on price, okay? I don't want a candle that's got way more wick than body and tail, okay? Combine the body and tail together and the wick is more than that. I don't want that, okay? I don't want that because it shows me bears had more control. All right, so you see this candle here, see way more wick than body and tail combined. The wick goes all the way up to that red dot. So I don't want that, okay? I don't want any red candles because I am buying calls. I'm looking for 10-minute uptrend. So I want to see green candles where institutions are stepping in and providing price or pushing price higher. Okay, so if they're just stepping in but they're not pushing price higher, that's not going to work for me. Okay, now remember, I trade options. Okay, so they start to decay the minute I take ownership of them. All right, so I'm going to need price to move. Okay, in the upward direction. So I want some green candles. I want some good green candles. Okay, not some quasi green candles. I want something that price is stepping in and institutions are stepping in and price is rising rather rapidly. Okay, that's what I want to see. I want to see a continuation of that 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. All right, that's what I'm looking for this morning. So into the close yesterday, 10-minute uptrend over VWAP, down 2-hour chart. Got the candlesticks under the 3. The 3 is under the 8, so we got the candlesticks and the 3 riding under the 8. You can see that is a 2-hour downtrend coming into the close. 2-hour downtrend coming into the close. 10-minute uptrend on the daily chart. Okay, on the daily chart we have for the candle. Okay, it's a lower high and a lower low. Ooh, we got the sword and the business end is pointed down. Okay, that means price. We're looking for price to rise back up to the highs. Okay, we'll see what happens. Okay, so lower high, lower low. We closed under a bearish trap, under the flat 17 right here, but over, see the purple line? The all-time high anchored VWAP, okay? So we didn't break anything, okay? We are in an uptrend, okay, that's pulling back right now. So it's filling up. Hopefully it's filling up on spinach and red meat, all right, to make a pounce or a drive or a push to the upside. Hopefully, we'll see, all right? Right now, okay, nothing's broken, so we're still in an uptrend. Now, if we back way out, let's move some of this over here. Don't need all of that. Okay, if we back way out, okay, this is our April low right down here. April low. We're at the top of quadrant 4. See the quad lines? 1, 2, 3, 4. Top of quadrant 4. We're bullish. That's bullish up there. Anything in the upper third, that's bullish. Okay, and still in an uptrend. Okay, get a 3-day pullback, but we're still in an uptrend right there. Okay, so there's SPY on the daily chart, bullish and still in an uptrend. Okay, so we'll see what happens here. Let's take a look at weekly chart. Okay, top of quadrant 4, bullish, still in an uptrend. Nothing's broken yet. Okay, monthly chart. Okay, top of quadrant 4, again, bullish, still in an uptrend. Okay, so there's SPY. Monthly, weekly, daily, still in uptrends. So the bigger time frames are still bullish and in uptrends, okay? 2-hour is not, okay? 10-minute is, okay? I like it when I have a 10-minute uptrend residing inside of a 2-hour uptrend that lives inside of a daily uptrend, inside of a weekly uptrend, inside of a monthly uptrend. That way I got all the bigger time frames supporting my 10-minute uptrend. That's what I like, all right? And when I like it, especially when it's all over the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's my favorite trade, okay? Now, I'm just going to say, I'm going to go out on a limb. I don't think it will happen, but it might happen. I think it will happen, all right? In the future, like 6 months from now, we may not have that scenario, okay? We probably have maybe a 6-month rest, maybe a 12-month consolidation period. We'll see, all right? So we might not have. So this is the unique time right now when we have those, okay, 10-minute uptrends inside the 2-hour uptrends, inside the daily, you know what I'm saying, over the all-time high anchored VWAP. Okay, so we'll see what happens, all right? But this is a unique time right now to take advantage of those trades. Okay, so that's SPY on the 2-hour. And we visited the daily, the weekly, and the monthly. Okay, let's take a look at the game plan. And we hit the 15-minute for the game plan. Okay, so I got a green erases red entry. Okay, not over yesterday's high, but a little bit further up. I want to be above that base. All right, because if I just get over this high, I'll be running into traffic right here. Okay, so I got to get past the intersection up here. So over 681.80. All right, that's a bullish green erases red entry. Okay, right up there. Okay, on the pivot, 678.60. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. Red erases green entry underneath. That's yesterday's low area. Not quite all of it, but just most of that wick. Most of that tail down there. Okay, so below 675.25. All right, that's a red erases green entry. Okay, now I like 10-minute. I like 2 days till expiration. I trade options. All right, mainly options. That way I get to leverage my money. All right, remember, I'm still trading like a normal trader. The only thing is I'm using options just to leverage my capital. Okay, so I like 2 days till expiration and 9 days till expiration Friday options on the multiple of 5, specifically for the open interest. All right, I like a lot of liquidity. All right, I want to be able to get in. I want to be able to get out. All right, with not a lot of slippage. I want a tight bid-ask spread. I don't want to have to jump, 50 cents just to get into a trade. All right, I trade strikes $2 to $15 out of the money. Okay, I like them when they're priced somewhere between 30 cents and $1.40. That's my favorite price point for them. And they get over that, I like to roll them maybe to something closer, or a little further out. All right, because I don't like to pay that much for my contracts. Remember, I only trade 10% of my account. Here's my max risk. So yesterday, all right, we closed the account. I closed the account with 76,203. My max risk is 10% of that, which makes it, 76.20. My daily goal is 1% of that, which makes it 762. All right, so I only got 7,620 to spend on whatever I'm going to be trading today. All right, so if I'm using, $5 contracts, that's $500. That's $5 times 100 shares. Okay, so that's a $500 contract. So you can see I can only take 14 of those, or 6 or 18 of those at max. Okay, all right, because it's 100 shares. Okay, so I can only take very few, and I like to have a whole lot more than just 1 or 2. All right, for my position, I like to have a little bit more than that. Okay, so again, I'm only trading 10%. So I like my strikes $2 to $15 out of the money. Now, not opposed to trading in the money options. Okay, as a matter of fact, you will get better performance than I will. Okay, with your in the money options, you'll get much better performance. Okay, you'll get closer to that penny for penny performance. Okay, I'm not going to get that, but I feel better because I have less risk. All right, I'm closer to zero. Can't go any further than zero. All right, so I'm closer to zero than you are at the money options. Okay, so for that reason, I'm taking on less risk. All right, so for that reason, I like the $2 to $15 out of the money contracts. Okay, so I trade 10-minute uptrends over VWAP. I trade 10-minute downtrends under VWAP. I already shared with you my favorite trade, the 10-minute uptrend inside the 2-hour. You heard the whole spiel. Okay, so I will, if I have a 10-minute uptrend that happens to manifest down here, I'm not opposed to trading it. Just like to see it break the bullish 10-minute rubber band candle. Okay, that would be nice to see that happen. Okay, I will trade those 10-minute uptrends that happen to manifest down here, like right off of support. Okay, so I'm not opposed to trading 10-minute uptrends down here long before they get to the green erases red entry. Okay, same thing happens with 10-minute downtrends. Okay, I'm not opposed to trading 10-minute downtrends that happen to manifest up here or up here over the pivot or right here between the pivot and the red erases green entry. I would just like to see them break the 10-minute rubber band candle on the bearish side. Okay, so I go to my 10-minute chart, all right, and that's where I look to see which one is my rubber band candle. Now for me, VWAP always represents the equator, all right, or the 50-yard line. So for that, I like to see price below VWAP, all right. So I want to break that trend that's kind of sticking to VWAP right there. All right, so there's SPY. QQQ's got a game plan as well. We'll visit that, and then we'll look at the chart. Okay, QQQ pivot 610.60, above it I'm a bull, below it I'm a bear. Green erases red entry over 613.50. Okay, red erases green entry under 606.95. Okay, and then you got the pivot 610.60. Okay, same thing. I trade $2 to $9 Friday options, all right, on the multiple of 5, specifically for the open interest. I want a tight bid-ask spread. I want to get in and out with less slippage. I like strikes $2 to $15 out of the money. Again, I like them cheap, all right, but not too cheap, all right. I like 10-minute uptrends over VWAP. I trade 10-minute downtrends under VWAP. Same deal. Okay, if I get a 10-minute downtrend, happens to manifest up here, long before the red erases green entry, not opposed to trading it, just like to see it break that bearish 10-minute rubber band candle. Same thing on the 10-minute uptrend. If it happens to manifest down here, originate down here, long before the green erases red entry, not opposed to trading it, just want to see it break some rubber band candles, all right? Want to see that price is committed to going higher, okay? So there's QQQ game plan. All right, so we're going to come back over here. Now we're going to look at the 10-minute chart, all right? And we're going to see you got a 10-minute uptrend. We got candlesticks on the 3, okay? The 3 is the yellow line, okay? You got daylight between the 3 and the white line. That's the 8 EMA, okay? So we've got 10-minute uptrend coming into the close. What am I looking for this morning? Well, I'm looking for a continuation of that 10-minute uptrend, okay, early this morning on QQQ, all right? Be looking for that continuation. Again, I don't want any spinning tops. I don't want any dojis. I don't want any candles that got more wick. Remember, I'm going long. I don't want any candles that got more wick than body and tail combined, okay? I want a candle that shows me bulls are in control, all right? And they're large and in charge, okay? I want some good size. That's a nice candle, okay? That's a nice candle right there, okay? That's a nice candle. That's a nice candle. That's a beautiful candle, okay? All right, I don't want any spinning tops. Don't want any doji. See this candle right here? More wick than body and tail combined. Not my candle. I don't like that one. Because it shows me bears had more control up there. Okay, of course, they looked over to the left and they see, well, the bears pushed it down right there. And they did here. Okay, so it would be logical to see them push it down again. But when the bulls come back and overrun it, all right, then you know that's when you want to get in. That's that green erases red entry right there. See on that line? See that run a line across the top of those? Okay. So where's the green erases red entry? Yeah, right here. Okay, right there. See green. See the red? Red comes from that high down to this bottom. And then green wipes it out right there. See the red from this high down to this bottom. And then green wipes it out right there. That's the green erases red entry right there. Okay, so 10-minute in an uptrend, all right? We got that straightened out. Take a look at the 2-hour. 2-hour, we got a downtrend. Okay, you can see the candlesticks in the 3 riding underneath the 8 EMA. Got some daylight there between the 3 and the 8 EMAs. Okay, so 2-hour downtrend. Let's look at the daily chart. Okay, so on the daily chart, lower high, lower low, closing under a bearish trap, under the 17 EMA, under, see the purple line, all-time high anchored VWAP, okay? There's QQQ. Still in the middle of quadrant 4, that's bullish, all right? Nothing's broken here, and in an uptrend. So QQQ, bullish, and in an uptrend right there. Okay, you can see on the weekly chart, bullish and in an uptrend. Monthly chart, bullish and in an uptrend. Okay, again, my favorite trade for QQQ. All right, it's going to be the 10-minute uptrend. All right, over VWAP that resides inside the 2-hour uptrend, that lives inside the daily uptrend, inside a weekly uptrend, inside a monthly uptrend, over, see the purple line, the all-time high anchored VWAP. That would be my favorite trade. Okay? Got all the bigger time frames supporting my 10-minute uptrend. Okay? That would be my favorite trade right there. All right, let's go take a look at FNGU. Okay, here's FNGU. We're going to hit the daily chart. Okay, so here's the April low. Here's yesterday's candle. Not too impressive, right? Lower high, lower low, closing under a bearish trap. 3 is under the 8. All right, under the 17, see the red dots? Right there, under the 17 EMA, under the all-time high anchored VWAP, that's the purple line right there. Under, see this green line? All of this consolidation, that would have been major support. Under the major support. Okay, it's imperative the bulls rescue price today. All right, for FNGU, okay? Because that's a spike candle. That, regarding the major support, that's the rubber band candle. All right, we get any follow through. All right, now that wasn't much follow through right there, okay? They didn't close below it. All right, remember they closed right in here. So we start closing below that rubber band candle, okay? All right, and all hell could break loose to the downside. Okay, this is FNGU. Okay, so the bulls need to show up today for FNGU. Drag this thing back up over the major support line, which is this thick green line right there. So that's FNGU. Okay, so FNGU no longer bullish, now just neutral. All right, putting in a lower low. Here's a low, made a lower low. So that's in a downtrend. Actually, there's one there, the 2. So there's neutral on FNGU and in a downtrend currently under all-time high anchored VWAP, showing a bearish head and shoulders. Okay, so that's what's showing. Okay, so there's FNGU, not looking good. Okay, let's take a look at Diamond Dow. All right, Diamond Dow about 3 days ago put in a new all-time high. You can see that wick sticking up in the air. Yesterday's candle, lower high, lower low, closing in the bullish trap. Over the, see the green dots, the rising 17, over the prior all-time high anchored VWAP. Top, here's the April low. Top of quadrant 4, that's bullish and in an uptrend. IWM. IWM candle, lower high, lower low, closing, see the spinning top? Bulls and bears agree. I hope that's not the case. Lower high, lower low, closing underneath the bearish cross. See the 3 now crossing the 8, a bearish cross. Closing under the bearish cross, but over, see the green dot, the rising 17. Over the prior all-time high anchored VWAP, you can see 3 days ago they put in a new all-time high right there. Okay, still at the top of quadrant 4. That's bullish, nothing's broken, still in an uptrend, IWM. All right, let's take a look at silver. Silver, 3 days ago, they put in a new all-time high. Okay, so silver putting in, I'm just going to call it an inside day. It's a lower high, higher low, closing over a bullish trap, over the rising 17. See the green dots? Over, that was a prior all-time high anchored VWAP right there. Okay, so up there, top of quadrant 4. Looking like silver is going to make a new all-time high. See it over here? That's where it's trading right now. So look like silver's going to make a new all-time high again today. Okay, so silver bullish. Okay, here's quadrant one. Here's the origination of the uptrend right here, all the way back to 2022. Up here, top of quadrant four, that's bullish, and then an uptrend, and putting in a new all-time high today. GLD. All right, GLD is not putting in a new all-time high, not yet, anyways. Price action is equal high, higher low, closing over bullish trap, over, see the 17, rising 17, that's the green dots, over all-time high anchored VWAP. Again, top of quadrant four, that's bullish, and then an uptrend for GLD. UNG. Okay, UNG, lower high, lower low, closing under a bearish trap, underneath the 17. This is the all-time low. Look how close we are to the all-time low. Okay, at the bottom of quadrant one, so that's bearish. Okay, and in a downtrend, because there's a low, they made a lower low, and in a downtrend under the 2025 high anchored VWAP. Okay, so bearish and in a downtrend. USO. All right, USO no longer in the neutral land because they're down here in the lower third, so that's bearish. Okay, you can see putting in a lower high and a lower low, closing under the bearish trap, under the 17 EMA. Okay, so they're bearish and in a downtrend, and they're under that 2022 high anchored VWAP. That's that post-COVID high right there. That is the oil fund right there, USO. Let's take a look at our technicals. T2101. Market dipped lower yesterday, and participation in breadth dipped lower with it. I'm fine with that. Okay, that's fine with me. T2122. Market dipped lower. I had expected to bounce off the midpoint back to the buy zone and the overbought zone. Instead, we went in the other direction. Not my favorite place. Okay, we're now in the seller's chop zone. Yesterday, we spent most of the day in the seller's chop zone. I gotta say, at least we weren't in the sell zone or the oversold zone. Okay, so I guess that's the silver lining here. But right there, we spent the day in the seller's chop zone right there. Now, there's a silver lining here in T2123. Okay, you can see price action here is, all right, still in an uptrend. Let me show you why it's a silver lining. Price moved up and holding that higher ground, okay? Okay, when you see them go up like UNG, remember UNG? Okay, back here, UNG. See how they go up and they give it up, okay? Clearly not bullish, okay? They go up and they give it up, okay? Not what I want to see, all right? So back here, T2123, that's what I like to see. Price goes up and holds that higher ground. See them building out a bull flag, a launch pad from which to typically to launch higher. Okay, no guarantees, but majority of the time they typically do try to launch higher. Now there might be a failed breakout to the upside, but rest assured they probably will try before leaving this area. Okay, at least once or twice, typically. Okay, so there's T2123 15-minute chart, still in an uptrend over the 200 SMA. I'm bullish, so I love that. Okay, so up there in the middle, that's in the neutral land and bullish and then an uptrend. Can't ask for anything more. Okay, T2123 on the 15-minute chart. Same product, now on a 3-bar chart. Okay, so here's April low right here. There's all-time high right there. Okay, here's 200 SMA. There's the upper third. See the green line right here at the head and shoulders. Okay, so there's the neckline for the head and shoulders. Notice we bounce off the same neckline. Okay, right there. So we're still in the upper third, so we're still bullish. We were under the 200 SMA. Now we're consolidating on top of it. Exactly what I asked it to do. Okay, when I was talking to traders earlier in the month. So what I want to see is price consolidate and blast up there and climb on top of the 200 SMA. And what did it do? It did. It climbed up there and it's holding the higher ground. That's bullish. It's a very bullish sign. Okay, climbing up on top of this 200 SMA and holding that higher ground. Okay, so that's T2123 3-bar chart. There's a high. We made a higher high, so we're no longer in a downtrend. We're back to an uptrend now, okay? And we're bullish because we're over that 200 SMA. We're up in the middle of quadrant 4. That's bullish and in an uptrend on the 3-bar chart, T2123. Okay, now here's the stinker. FNGU, okay? Yesterday's price action. Did they make a higher high? So just barely, see the high there? Just barely squeaks out a 15-minute uptrend by making a higher high right there. Okay, so 15-minute uptrend. Okay, not a very convincing uptrend, but they did squeak one off right there. Okay, so yesterday, again, you can see the bear flag. Okay, maybe we can get this to round out and come back up to the 200. We'll see. Okay, but this is bearish when you build a bear flag or a platform from which to dive lower. Okay, we don't like that. All right, so they did try once or twice. So I guess now they're going to go check resistance to see if that's going to hold back up there again. Okay, so there's price action for FNGU. Notice 15-minute chart. We're in an uptrend. Not a very convincing uptrend, but we're in one. Under the 200 SMA. Okay, again, not my favorite place to be unless I'm a bear. And you already know I'm not a bear. So, and under, there's the all-time high, anchored VWAP right there, and underneath that, underneath the major support, making lower lows. So we're in a downtrend on the daily chart, but on the 15, we squeaked out a higher high just before closing time on FNGU. Okay, and again, not a very convincing uptrend right there on FNGU 15-minute chart. All right, let's take a look at the economic package. Okay, so here's our dollar. This is the 2025 high up here. Okay, so from there we put in a downtrend and went into consolidation for a bear flag. Okay, so this is a bear flag right through here. And price action, you can see, is, okay, made double top right here. Actually, triple top. Okay, but just right here, this is a double top. Okay, so failed to a significant higher high. Okay, and then here's the low. There's the valley between the two peaks right here. That's that valley between the two peaks. So price pulls back, makes a lower low, so that puts us in a downtrend. All right, and then to top it all off, we get some follow through with another lower high and an even lower low right there. So daily chart is in a downtrend. Now, on the US dollar, okay, for the consumer in us, a weak dollar sucks because our dollars don't go as far, all right, and cost us more to buy goods and services, aka inflation. Okay, the consumer, the investor in us, okay, loves the cheap dollar, okay, because what it does is it makes our goods and services that we sell overseas, all right, against our competition, okay, it makes our services and goods more competitive, all right, more affordable, okay, because a foreign company would have to convert their currency to ours in order to pay us, okay, so having a cheap dollar means they don't have to come up with as much of their currency to pay us for those goods and services, all right, so for that reason, investors love it when we have a cheap dollar because typically we're taking in more revenue because we're getting more goods and services sold around the world. All right. Again, more revenue typically equates to higher profits or higher bottom line. Okay, the bottom line. Okay, and then you get higher profits. That makes higher earnings. Okay, you get more earnings, you get a higher price point for share. All right, so and that causes share prices to rise, and when share prices rise, markets move higher. Okay, so there it is. In a nutshell, a weak dollar. Investors like a weak dollar. Consumers, they don't like it. Okay, all right, and we're in a downtrend, and we're still in the bear flag. So this has been a really rocking year. As you can see, the markets have hit new all-time highs based on what? Oh, weak dollar right there, among other things. Okay, policy does help out a lot too. Okay, so on the earnings calendar today, we got Micron Technologies after the close. Okay, the rest of them, just familiar names. Nothing here that's going to move the markets. Micron is, I can barely see, $266 billion. Okay, they're going to report tonight. That's a lot of money. Okay, that's their market cap for tonight. Again, semiconductors, we want to see tech lead the way. Tech will pretty much lead every rally. All right, so you want tech to have good earnings. Okay, we'll see what happens tonight. Okay, Thursday. Again, more familiar names, but nothing that's going to really move the markets. Accenture is going to report. It's $178 billion. They report tomorrow morning, Friday. Again, more familiar names, but nothing here that's going to move the markets. All right, that's for the earnings calendar. Tonight, Micron. Okay, on Max Payne. Max Payne today is 679. All right, that's for the options, the SPY options that expire today, with a put to call ratio of about 0.9 puts for each call, so a little under 1. All right, put for each call, so not much of a put squeeze on the table there. Okay, all right, on the economic calendar, we got for this morning, we got some delayed reports, all right, from last month. All right, for this morning, we got MBA mortgage applications at 7. Okay, retail sales at 8:30. All right, so maybe, I don't know if that's going to be Black Friday's included in that or not. Okay, but retail sales, 8:30. Okay, business inventories delayed. Retail sales is delayed. Business inventories is delayed. 10 o'clock. Okay, Atlanta Fed business inflation expectations. Okay, that comes out at 10 o'clock as well. All right, and a petroleum report at 10:30, just like normal. Okay, Wednesday, 10:30, petroleum report. Unless, of course, there's a holiday and then things get kind of moved around. All right, tomorrow, headliner, CPI, 8:30 tomorrow morning. So this is where that cheap dollar comes into play, is CPI, not CPI. I was thinking of GPI or whatever, global, yeah. I was thinking CPI is inflation. CPI is 8:30 tomorrow morning. Okay, so the Fed will definitely be looking at that because I mean, they're looking to add some more rate cuts next year. We're done for the year right now. All right, so CPI 8:30. We're going to be watching Consumer Price Index. That's tomorrow at 8:30. Jobless claims 8:30. Philly Fed Manufacturing Index 8:30. Current account 8:30. Another delayed report. E-commerce retail sales 10 o'clock. Leading indicators at 10, and a natural gas report at 10:30. Okay, natural gas 10:30 on Thursday. That's a normal time every week. All right, unless of course it's a holiday, then things get pushed around. Friday we've got corporate profits at 8:30. Personal income and outlays at 10. Existing home sales at 10. Consumer sentiment at 10. And a rig count at 1. All right, so that's it for me today, traders. Let's take a look one more time at SPY. All right, and I'm going to put the pre-market on there. All right, so you guys can see it. I got the 10-minute chart. I'm going to put the 5-minute chart up. Okay, I'm going to open up the pre-market. Okay. All right, so we got consolidation or price action over prior price action. Okay, so that's bullish. Okay, right there. All right, so my bias is probably going to be bullish this morning. All right, we left off with a 10-minute uptrend. Again, I'll still be looking for that continuation of the 10-minute uptrend. Now, if price happens to open up here, all right, and we break the ceiling up here, okay, so in other words, I'm going to bring the red line down. See the box? So we break, see that's the top, out of the box, that's a buy, okay? I don't wait for rubber band candles, okay? Just a candle closing up there, even on the 5-minute, all right? Candle closing up there. For me, that's a bullish entry up there, okay? I'm just saying, if price happens to be up here when we open up, okay? All right? Breaking that ceiling right there, that is a buy for me to go to the upside. All right? Other than that, I'll probably mark off the first 15 minutes and trade the breakout of that. Okay, again, I'm looking for the continuation of the 10-minute uptrend. We'll see what happens. Okay, again, I don't want any dojis, no spinning tops, no red candles, no candles with more wick than body and tail combined. All right, I'll see you all in about 35 minutes. We'll open up the markets.